that's not clear. For the Giants, it's the beginning of a title defense after their third World Championship in 5 years. The Diamondbacks feel they have dealt their way back into contention in the NL West. Hope springs eternal on opening day for two division rivals. It's the Giants and the D-backs, and it's coming up next.
Can we do it again?
We are back in the desert. We're at Chase Field. This time we get to do a game that counts. It is opening day, and we're thrilled about that. Giants, D-backs. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dwayne Kuiper. Alongside me is Mike Krukow. Well, it is an odd year, but what does that mean? Well, it means that the Giants need to do something that they haven't been able to do 3 other times. And what a way to start. We get to see Madison Bumgarner for the first time since Game 7 of the World Series.
And Madison Bumgarner, the MVP in the NLCS, the MVP in the World Series, is going to take his second opening day assignment against a team that he's lifetime 6-4 against, these Arizona Diamondbacks. The guys to watch in regards to the Giants offense, really two guys who have had great luck with Josh Comenter, the right-hander who will start tonight for the D-backs. Angel Pagan, who's a lifetime 400 hitter, and Buster Posey, who is 11 for 16 lifetime with 3 home runs. So those are the keys, and anytime you flip the ball to the big fella from North Carolina, you're doing a good thing.
All right, Bumgarner against Comenter. Game 1 of 162. It should be fun. Stay with us. Coming up after the break, we'll get an update from Mindy Bach, who is at AT&T Park for Comcast Sportsnet Authentic Opening Day. And we'll do that right after this.
Net.
The authentic home of Giants baseball.
It's time to play ball. Here's Kruk and Kite.
Yep.
I'm Buster Posey, and you're watching Comcast Sportsnet.
The authentic home of Giants baseball.
It's time to play ball. Here's Kruk and Kite.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. Indeed, it is the opener for both teams here at Chase Field. Game one of this three-game series. Our game time weather is presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. The admission-free boardwalk is open this weekend. 78 degrees here in the desert. Humidity very low, as you would expect. Hardly any winds, and the roof is open. The lineup that'll be facing Josh Colmenter. It'll look like this. Nori Aoki's going to lead things off, followed by Joe Panik and then Angel Pagan. Buster Posey, see his numbers at Chase Field, very good. His numbers against Colmenter, even better. Belt will hit fifth, and it's McGee, Crawford, and Blanco, and Bumgarner will pitch and bat ninth.
On the hill tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks will be Josh Colmenter, 29-year-old in his fifth year at the big league level. Big guy, 6'4", 235-pounder. This is what he did last year. Came out of the bullpen, went into the rotation, and never left it. Wound up 11-9 with a 3.46 ERA. And when you take your at-bats against Colmenter, there's a lot of deception in his motion. When they say over-the-top delivery, he is over-the-top delivery. You're going to see a mid to high 80s fastball, more mids than highs. He'll cut the fastball. And he's got a big, slow curveball he'll steal strikes with, but his big pitch is the changeup, and it's one of the better changeups in all of baseball. Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Josh Colmenter tonight for the D-backs, starting in the outfield from left to right. It'll be Inciarte, Pollock, and Trumbo. That's your outfield. Ahmed and Hill will be on the left side of the infield. Owings and Goldschmidt will be on the right side. Tuffy Gozowicz will be in the squat, putting down the sign. And that is your Arizona Diamondback defense.
All right, let's check in with Amy G. Amy?
Well, gentlemen, the Giants are no stranger to dealing with adversity, but they got stomach punched a little bit today. Bruce Bochy announcing that Ryan Vogelsong for sure will start tomorrow in place of Jake Peavy, dealing with back tightness, but also Matt Cain dealing with some forearm tightness. He underwent an MRI, and he is iffy for his start on Wednesday, gentlemen.
All right, Amy, we'll hear better news from you later on, I hope. So here's Nori Aoki to lead things off. And the first pitch of this baseball season for these two teams is a called strike. So we get underway at 7:11. And Aoki flips it to left, but right there and running it down is Inciarte. And that's how this game and season gets started. And that'll bring up Joe Panik.
You start to get a little reputation in this game, and the defense will start adjusting to it. And Aoki hits right into the defense.
Here's Panik.
See the numbers last year in 73 games for Joe Panik. And he takes a called strike. Hit .305. 0 for 6 lifetime against Colementor. And he flips this one to left. And he's going to have the first hit of the year. That's what happens when you have a slow spring.
Well, he started to heat up the last week, and he's really taken a lot of confidence into that batter's box. And early hits in the year, especially for young players, always mean a lot. Nice little opposite field approach. Fastball challenge just right at the belt. Not trying to do too much. Nice at bat.
So here's Pagan. Pagan 4 for 9 lifetime against Josh Colementor. And he takes a strike. All Colementor is doing right now is just throwing strikes. Pagan in 96 games hit .300. He had 3 home runs, 27 driven in last year. And he shoots this one fair down the right field line. Ball kicks off that sidewall. Panik is held up at third. Into second is Pagan. And the Giants have runners at second and third with 1 out.
Big question as to how Angel Pagan is going to handle hitting in the third spot in the lineup. And he, like Joe Panik, started to put together the last several days of spring training. The lower body kind of plants his little reach in the swing. But he hits right past Goldschmidt, who came way off the bag after holding on Panik. It opened up the little lane. Panik or Pagan finds it. And just like that, they set the table for Buster Posey. And he has had great numbers against Colementor.
11 for 18 with a double and 3 home runs. And the first pitch is low and in. 1 ball and no strikes. Last year for Buster Posey, 311, 22 big flies, 89 driven in. And here he takes a strike at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You're going to see a lot of low strikes with Gary Cederstrom, the plate umpire. He has a low ball preference. And he calls to the glove. If you set up in the outside corner and it comes across the inside corner, you won't always get it. But if you stay between the knees, you can stretch the strike zone on both sides of the plate.
1 ball and 1 strike. Buster fouls it back. He had a rip.
He was on it. 81 degrees at first pitch. Absolutely ideal condition to play baseball. No wind. The conditions here is benign as you can imagine. The roof is open here in Arizona, but you get carry from foul line to foul line. It is a hitter's ballpark, and hitters will tell you this is one of the best ballparks in all of baseball to see the ball. An amazing background as you see the batter's eye is huge.
And Posey out swinging.
And that's the bread and butter changeup that Colementor will rely on, and he'll throw at any count. And watch the reach in the swing of Posey. Off balance. And when you take a hitter's legs out on a swing, you've made a great pitch, especially if it's a swing and a miss.
So here's Belt. He can save the inning with a base hit. Belt, 243 last year, 12 home runs, 27 driven in. Remember, he was injured through almost half of the season. And he fouls this one down the left field line, and that'll be out of play. And they had a whole lot of luck against Colementor, 2 for 13. But he had a good spring. You only really believe in springs if you have a good one.
That's right. If you have a bad one, it doesn't matter. It's just
it doesn't count.
Have a good, man, he's hot.
Yeah.
Seen it good. Going to have a big year.
Center field. Pollock. Back. Pollock with room. Side retired. Giants strand a pair. Bumgarner out. D-backs coming up. Inciarte, then Paul Goldschmidt, and you can see back in 2013 he was all over it with the extra base hits. It'll be Trumbo in the cleanup spot, then Hill, Owings, and Gozowicz, followed by Nick Ahmed hitting 8th and Clementer 9th.
On the hill tonight for the Giants, his second opening day assignment in his young career. Madison Bumgarner, 6'5", 235-pounder, 25 years of age. He's a 5-year veteran. And this is what he did last year, an 8-game winner with a 2.98 ERA, 219 strikeouts against 43 walks. How does he do it? You're going to see a low 3/4 release with a natural cut to his fastball. He'll coast right around low 90s. He'll also throw a slider, a curveball, and a changeup. A lot of deception in his delivery. Big upper body turn. You do not see the ball until late, and that's from both sides. Lifetime against Arizona, 6-4. Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Bumgarner tonight for the Giants. Starting in the outfield from left to right, it'll be Aoki, Pagan, and Blanco. That's your outfield. Crawford and McGee on the left side of the infield. Panic and Belt on the right side, and Buster Posey will be in the squad putting down the signs.
So here's Pollock. Pollock on the first pitch pops it back. Buster Posey coming back, and Buster Posey is going to put it away. So maybe the strategy is to swing early.
Left field, number 5.
I think that's always been a great strategy against great pitchers. They're going to challenge early in the count, and that oftentimes is going to be the best pitch you're going to see. Pollock not waiting around.
So here's Inciarte. At 278 last year. 4 home runs, 27 runs batted in. And he takes low and away against Bumgarner. In his career, he's 4 for 10. And a strike.
This tells you what he threw last year. 44% of the time you're going to get a fastball, and 35% you're going to see a cutter. Now that's pretty much fastball. 8% changeup and 13% curveball. He'll show you those. Those really aren't his skill pitches.
Does that percentage show you at all that he could handle a workload like he did?
Well, yeah, because he's throwing a lot of fastballs, and he's not really beating himself up with a lot of sliders or splits.
A lot of play. I mean, the amazing part for us was the last pitch that he threw in Game 7 of the World Series wasn't any different than the first pitch he threw on opening day.
Yeah. Well, I've always believed that the lower arm angle that you have, the easier it is on your shoulder, and the low 3/4 is very easy on your arm. I mean, you throw a lot of fastballs, and his fastball cuts naturally. I mean, he's built for a long time.
So Inciarte gets hit with a breaking ball, and that'll bring up Goldschmidt.
And that'll not make Madison Bumgarner very happy. First curveball that he's throwing tonight, and he really quits on it. And I think Bumgarner, like a lot of left-handers, I think it's easier for them to throw a curveball against righties than lefties early in a game until they get a feel of it.
Here's Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt's got pretty good extra base hit numbers against Bumgarner, but overall 5 for 25. Remember, he got hit by a pitch and went on the DL for nearly the last quarter of the season. 16 home runs, or 19 home runs. So he pops this one back and out of play. 19 home runs, 69 RBIs in 109 games.
He's a beast.
He is a beast.
Very powerful. I mean, you really have to hit your spots. Very quick swing, very powerful to all fields.
Outside corner, 1-2.
A little moan, a little groan here at Chase Field. I think a lot of fans thought that was low, but you're going to see low strikes tonight with plate umpire Gary Cederstrom. That last pitch, an example of it.
And a quick toss to first. Inciarte last year did have 19 steals. He was caught 3 times. His 19 stolen bases led this Diamondbacks team. Got him.
Took a little off on the cut.
Here's Trumbo.
Take a look at the payoff pitch. They set up on the outside corner. This is, it kind of wraps around that outside corner with a little cut turn in on the movement. And Bumgarner gets his first strikeout of the year.
Here's Trumbo. Swing and a miss. He always takes a big cut. He also had injuries cut his season almost in half. 88 games, 14 home runs, 61 driven in.
Well, they thought he had plantar fasciitis, and they found out later on that he actually had a fracture in his foot. And he was playing a lot of games with that fracture in his foot. And this is one of the guys that they're very excited about. He had a very solid spring.
Up and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. He is 1 for 8 against Bumgarner with 4 strikeouts. High again. Bumgarner spins around on the mound. You rarely see him do that. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, a little front shoulder fly right there, and he knew he lost his power position. Got underneath, a little push. And when you do that, you're going to miss high. So you get back on the hill, you make your correction, and move on.
Two and two.
I think Trumbo can't believe he swung through that pitch. Fastball challenge right above the belt. But you have to remember there's a little movement that works its way in to the right-handed hitter. It's just a natural cut. It's about a 3 or 4 inch slide, very subtle.
Foul back. To see that pitch pretty well. High and away.
It was away from the intended target. Posey set that target on the inside corner. And again, I think just a bit of an overthrow. When you try and overthrow a pitch, you'll fly that front side. That's what he's fighting with right now. Staying tucked with his drive shoulder.
Aoki coming in with plenty of room and time, and that ends the inning. D-backs strand one, second inning coming up, and Casey McGee is going to lead things off. Brendan Crawford's wife. So here's Casey McGee.
Leading off for San Francisco.
It would be Jalen.
Number 14, Casey McGee.
Although Jalen's a twin, you never know. Could be babysitting.
Well, her twin sister Janelle is about to have a baby.
Yeah. Here's McGee, who takes high. 1 ball and no strikes.
Judging upon the last time we saw her, she may be having it right now.
Could be in labor as we speak. We watched her go up and down the steps at Scottsdale Stadium, and we actually thought maybe that night.
We thought maybe at the 7th inning stretch that day.
McGee takes high again. It's 3-0. McGee
is 6th year at the big league level out of Santa Cruz. 6'1", 220 pounder. 32 years of age.
Taking all the way, takes a strike. With Miami last year, he had 287. He was the comeback player of the year in the National League. He had 4 home runs, 76 driven in. And he bounces this one. And moving to his left, that's the second baseman Owens, and he throws him out.
Well, on opening night, Tuesday, April 14th, we're going to honor Madison Bumgarner's historical 2014 postseason performance. And the first 40,000 fans are going to receive a bobblehead commemorating Mad Bum's NLCS and World Series MVPs, courtesy of AAA. If you want tickets, go to sfgiants.com/tickets.
So that's a 4-3 put out, and here's Crawford. Crawford's numbers lifetime against Colementor. He's 5 for 22. He's got a couple of doubles. And here he takes low. The numbers for Crawford last year: 246, 10 home runs, and then the most impressive of all those numbers, he had 69 runs batted in. Led the Giants in RBIs in postseason. Of course, it helps when you hit a grand slam in the very first game of postseason.
Yeah, that always helps.
It's a quick way to pick up 4 RBIs, and he did. And it quieted down the crowd in Pittsburgh. That's a fair ball. Crawford out.
You know, you watch Josh Clemente from behind, and you're looking at what looks like an absolute straight as a string fastball, and it's at 85 miles per hour. And you're thinking, how does this guy survive? Well, one word: deception. His delivery is so unique. I mean, it is right over the top. It's like an old Iron Mike pitching machine. And guys are just not used to it. And then he's got the great changeup, as I mentioned, probably one of the best in all of baseball. And it locks you up as a hitter. He's not an easy guy to hit. Only 2 guys in the Giants club that really have had good success against him.
And this is not one of them. Is Blanco lifts this one out of play. He's 2 for 17 against Clemente.
Yeah, 2 guys that have hit him well: Angel Pagan and Buster Posey. Everybody else scratching and clawing.
Yep.
But you got to love this guy's story. He comes out of Homer, Michigan, 1,600 people in the town, and really just kind of an unsung hero going into professional baseball. And with that type of stuff, nobody really thought this guy was going to have a chance. And lo and behold, here he is, opening day pitcher. Last year started out in the bullpen, and after 5 appearances out of the pen, they put him in the rotation just to kind of just take a couple of spot starts, and he never left the rotation. Was their pitcher of the year last year.
And that's speared by Hill, and that's going to end the inning. Aaron Hill will lead things off when we come back.
Brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jack's hottest sandwich is back. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. By Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability, and resale value. Toyota, let's go places. And by DraftKings.com. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com with the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Enter promo code ORANGE for free entry.
0-0 as we head to the bottom of the second. Aaron Hill, Chris Owings, and Tuffy Gosewich to face Bumgarner, who hit Inciarte with a breaking ball for the only base runner for Arizona in the first. Hill does have good numbers against Bumgarner. He's got 3 lifetime doubles and 2 lifetime home runs in 25 at bats.
Well, Aaron Hill really has lost his job as a starter. We've seen him at second base, anchoring down that position for much of his Diamondback career. This spring, he's become the utility guy. Jake Lamb is going to be the guy that plays most of third base. He's a left-handed hitter, but they will sit him down against certain lefties, and Bumgarner being one of them.
Well, there's that curveball you said works sometimes better against right-handed hitters.
But just until you get a feel of it.
Tap to Bumgarner. Soft toss to Belt. All right, let's check in with Amy G. Amy?
All right, Dwayne, you wanted some better news. I've got it. How about being able to live vicariously through Matt Duffy and Joe Panik as they experience their very first opening day? Joe told me today the worst part has been that it's actually opening night. He's had to wait all day long for this. And Matt Duffy said all he really cared about was making a decision so hard for the coaches to put him on that 25-man roster. He batted .361 in 26 spring training games. He left them absolutely no choice. He's exactly where he wants to be, guys.
Well, he deserves to be on this roster. This is hit into center field. Pagan racing in, and Pagan's going to make the sliding catch.
Oh, man, that had disaster written all over it. And we're going to make it our Ford Ride choice because this really was right in no man's land. Both Crawford going out hard, Pagan coming in hard. They both go into a slide. And there's Pagan to gobble it up. Nice play. And when you see two players run on each other that hard, you always anticipate a possible collision. And there's the reaction from the big fella. Digging it.
So here's Gosewich. And he takes a belt tie strike. See the numbers last year. A home run, 7 driven in. Tapped up the middle and a base hit. So the first hit of the year for Arizona goes to Tuffy Gosewich, and that'll bring up Nick Ahmed.
Shortstop number 13, Nick Ahmed.
So Ahmed gets the opening day nod at short. Remember, the Diamondbacks traded Didi Gregorius to the Yankees.
He gets the pleasure of having to follow Derek Jeter.
Yeah, not an easy chore, that's for sure. First pitch strike.
Not much of a steal threat with Gosewich, and this is really not a steal situation anyway. 2 outs and your 8-hitter up.
And that fastball is high.
Steal a base here, you're going to walk the 8-hitter to get the pitcher up. So this is one of those times, if you're a base runner, anchor it down at first base.
One pitch is high. 2 balls and 1 strike.
I mean, that's really one of those places in the lineup that a manager will put one of the slower guys on the team simply because it's not a spot in the lineup where you need a lot of stolen bags.
Absolutely.
In the National League. Different story in the American League with a designated hitter.
And that hit him.
Well, Madison Bumgarner's leading the league in hit batsmen.
Yes, he is.
That's his second one tonight. And that will allow the pitcher to hit.
55.
Little cut fastball runs right in on the right forearm of Ahmed.
6 for 54. That's what Clementer's numbers were at the plate. just high. 1 ball and no strikes.
No gloves.
Would you expect him to have gloves on?
Not a guy from Homer, Michigan. No chance. Lumberjack. No gloves.
And a strike. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
But I would expect him to have a little pine tar on the bat. I mean, he's up there, no gloves, no pine tar. Low maintenance hitter.
On the ground, Crawford to Panic. Side retired, D-back strand a pair. Bumgarner's going to lead things off in a scoreless game.
Is brought to you by Bay Area Mini.
No score, 3rd inning. Bumgarner, Aoki, and Joe Panic.
Numbers for Bumgarner last year, outstanding. 258, 4 big flies, 15 RBIs.
A couple of grand slams, right?
Yeah, Silver Slugger Award winner in 2014, the National League for pitchers.
Hit on the ground to Goldschmidt. Giants lost a legend yesterday, and of course we lost Lon Simmons to a long battle of illness. And even though it wasn't that unexpected, it's still a shock when you lose someone that had that big of a personality and that big of an impact on Northern California when it came to baseball fans and football fans.
Yeah, baseball fans on both sides of the bay. Just an incredible man. And you couldn't be around the guy or listen to the guy without feeling like you knew him, like you were his friend. And that was really what made him so special. He was exactly how you perceived him to be. Just a great guy.
Well, I'll tell you this. When he walked into a room, he filled it up.
He did.
And it wasn't because he was a big man. It was because of his big personality. And we will miss that goat head.
Yeah, we will.
Three balls and one strike. Well, I mentioned it to Greg in the open, but he and Bill King and Russ Hodges, they're having fun somewhere right now. Three-one pitch to Aoki, swinging and fouling into the Giants dugout.
Aoki looking at Cedarstrom, asking if that last pitch was a strike. Umpires will answer you truthfully.
Payoff pitch coming up to Nori Aoki. And that shot past the diving Owens and into center field for a one-out single.
You see a lot of base hits go back up the middle with Aoki. He has tremendous back control, and you'll see him use left field a lot, especially against left-handed pitching. He's a contact hitter, and he really has excellent back control. Not a lot of swing. He's playing Papper right up back up the middle. This is a fast infield, and it is a fast outfield. The gaps are quick here. Not a whole lot in this ballpark favors a pitcher. It's a great place to hit.
Here's Panic. He looped one into left field for a hit in his first at bat.
Although if you look at the infield, which has always had a reputation for fast, does not look to me like it's as hard as we've seen it in past years.
Yeah, wait till July.
Yeah. It's okay.
Panic drives it into the gap. And Aoki's going to run for a while. See what Roberto Kelly does. They're going to hold him up at the last second, and Aoki's going to be out. I think, my opinion, it looked like Aoki got a little bit of a late hold-up sign at third.
It's going to take a while for Roberto Kelly to find that comfort zone. And if you watch the relay here from the D-backs, it's a good one. Comes in here and a quick opening. And there was the overrun right there. He'd have been hung if he'd have gone to home plate by 30 feet. So the first chance that Roberto Kelly gets, and it does not fare well for him.
So here's Pagan, who doubled in the first. And he takes wide. 1 ball and no strikes. And a strike at the knees to Pagan. 1 ball and 1 strike. On deck, Buster Posey should Pagan reach. And it's a blast into the alleyway. Giants are on the board. It's 1-0 on the Pagan base hit.
Really, that's how you pick up your third base coach right there. You got to believe that Roberto Kelly's wearing it right now. So a nice 2-out swing of the bat, and the Giants put their first run on the board.
So here's Posey. Buster struck out with runners at second and third. Belt to follow. Should Posey reach? We're in the third inning. And that's hooked foul.
All right, time now for McDonald's True Stories. We go back to opening day 2014 right here in Arizona. Buster Posey gets a fastball down and in against Addison Reed. It breaks a 7-7 tie. The Giants would go on to win that ball game 9-8. And that is our McDonald's True Stories.
In March.
It's a good memory.
Posey goes the other way. Drifting back is Trumbo, and he'll put it away to end the inning. A run on 3 hits for the Giants. 1-0 San Francisco.
This will be my 5th opening day. I didn't start in 10 with the Giants, so this will be my 5th opening day, and it'll be the 3rd one that, we're the reigning world champs. So it's kind of crazy to think I've had more opening days as the reigning world champ than not. So yeah, it's really special.
That's amazing.
Buster Posey on opening day, and that's our Geico quote.
It is amazing.
It is amazing.
5 times you've gone out there and been introduced on the base paths and or the foul line, and 3 times you've been a defending world champ. Nice.
Here's A.J. Pollock, who popped out to open up the ball game. Saw 1 pitch. Down low, 2-0. Inciarte and then Paul Goldschmidt. Casey McGee throws out Pollock.
Well, the NL West rival Colorado Rockies are coming to San Francisco to kick off the first homestand of the 2015 season, and on Wednesday, April 15th, a 7:15 start. First 20,000 fans will receive a 2014 World Champion Snow Globe featuring the triplets, the 3 World Series trophies, all courtesy of Comcast Sportsnet. If you want tickets, go to sfgiants.com/tickets.
The triplets.
Hey, he's feeling it. He's got his opening night tuxedo on. Tuxedo t-shirt.
Who do you think's more comfortable?
He's looking pretty comfortable to me. I think he wins.
Inciarte takes inside.
Yeah, I want to get back to that point about Roberto Kelly. I mean, he's got some big shoes to fill with Tim Flannery retiring last year, and many believe that Flannery was the best third base coach in the National League. Roberto Kelly last year was the first base coach for the Giants. All spring long, he was fantastic. I mean, he worked very hard, studied hard, and wouldn't you know it, he gets kind of a betweener here in his debut.
Absolutely.
But he cannot lose his aggressiveness, and you're going to make some mistakes.
Base hit for Inciarte. Looking for the best coverage of the Giants? Log on to CSNBayArea.com's insider Alex Pavlovich as he provides wire-to-wire reporting in this 2015 season. Check out Alex Pavlovich on CSNBayArea.com. There's Alex. Here's Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt struck out in the first inning. With Trumbo to follow, 1-0 Giants. Hit to right in the park to Blanco.
You can hear the oohs and the ahs as the ball left the bat of Goldschmidt, and he's kind of conditioned the people out here that when he hits a ball in the air, they expect it to get out of the ballpark.
They're not the only ones that think that. I kind of do too.
I get the feeling he's going to hit one out in this ballpark every time he steps in that batter's box.
Here's Trumbo. Trumbo laces one. Center field. Pagan at the wall. And it's off the top of the wall. Inciarte is going to score. And Trumbo has got a triple. And this game is tied.
I think the Diamondbacks are going to go back and look as to where that ball hit. This is just a high fastball that a big man tomahawks, and that's a strong right hand. Pagan camps underneath it. It hits just below the yellow line, so indeed it did stay in the ballpark. But a nice two-out swing of the bat from Mark Trumbo. Talked about how high the Diamondbacks were in his regard because of the type of spring that he had. He's finally healthy.
This is pulled foul. Hill dribbled one back to Bumgarner to lead off the second. And Hill goes around. It's 0-2.
Big sweeping breaking ball. Pressure's on Posey right now. I think he might be going back down in the dirt with another breaking ball. With a runner at third base, you've got to block it.
Instead, they go away 1-2.
Little backdoor.
Trumbo at third. And he got him to end the inning. D-backs tied up. John Miller, he'll be in for the next three. I'll see you back here in the seventh. It's 1-1.
1 tie. We're in the top of the 4th inning. We want to welcome John Miller to the booth. Partner, welcome.
And a ball game that has seen the Giants score the 1 run in 3 innings, and I'm sure they feel like they should have gotten more. So this one not going according to plan, but still they're right there. So they've given indications that they can get to Colementor. So we'll see. Here we go, 4th inning. Colementor ready to face Brandon Belt. Belt, who has not fared well against Colementor. Only 2 for 14. And that was a foul ball. Belt did hit one deep into center field that was caught on the warning track in front of the 407-foot marker by A.J. Pollock.
It did increase the heart rate of Josh Colementor.
He hit it well.
But if you're going to hit one out of center field in this ballpark, you really have to get it. And there's that changeup. It's such an equalizer. And the beautiful thing about a specialty pitch like Colementor's changeup is it doesn't matter if you're hitting off from the left side or the right side. It is tough to see. It's tough to pick up. You're absolutely convinced it's a fastball out of his hand, and it just doesn't get to you.
3 infielders play to the right side of second. And there it is again, and that's all for Brandon Belt, who now is 2 for 15 in his career against Colementor.
Well, watch the reach. It just doesn't get to you. This is the type of swing he'll sing to the chiropractor. That does not feel good. And it's the pitch that Colementor has really forged out a nice career here at the big league level with.
Casey McGee now. McGee grounded out to second his first time. And the curveball misses. 1 ball and no strikes.
I mean, you're up there so concerned about the fastball changeup combination, you really forget about his curveball. And he'll throw it and he'll steal strikes with it because you're not thinking about it.
Follows that up with a changeup for a strike.
And you know you have a good changeup when you can throw it after a big, slow curveball, and guys still can't get time to it.
1 ball, 1 strike. And 2-1. Casey McGee, who is a Northern California product out of Santa Cruz, Soquel High School in Santa Cruz. And another changeup, just got a piece of it. Foul ball, 2-2. Last year with Miami, he hit .287 and had 76 runs batted in, only 4 home runs.
You will see him take swing out in 2-strike situations.
And a fastball just a little bit low and back to the backstop. 3-2 the count. I asked McGee about that ballpark in Miami, and he said, Giancarlo Stanton, he made that ballpark in Miami, which is a huge ballpark, a tough place to hit home runs. Giancarlo Stanton would make that ballpark look small. He'd regularly crush home runs over that 418-foot marker in straightaway center with the high wall. And McGee said he'd hit a ball out there to center field that would invariably get caught in front of the wall or at the warning track. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And off his foot. Ouch. Still 3-2. And he'd get back and he'd be kind of, unhappy that he crushed the ball and it went nowhere in that ballpark. And they said, "What's the problem?" He says, "Well, this ballpark is just so big." He says, "I don't see Giancarlo having any problems with it."
Excellent point. But that's not fair because Giancarlo's playing with a different set of tools. But I do believe that his 2-strike adjustment, McGee's 2-strike adjustment, is a big reason as to why he doesn't hit a lot of home runs, and especially at 2-strike counts.
Well, there's a 2-strike base hit over shortstop. He got a pitch that was down around his ankles that time and hit it solidly for his first hit as a Giant.
He doesn't have a big swing anyway, but he gets even more compact and uses the middle of the field in 2-strike counts. Here Slides out on his front foot. Just a very short step and keeps the hands back and beats a pretty good location pitch.
6th hit for the Giants, and here is Brandon Crawford. He grounded out to first his first time. Now he's got that open hole on the right side with Goldschmidt on the bag with McGee. His time is taken. 1-1 the score in the 4th inning. We mentioned Casey McGee, a Bay Area product out of Santa Cruz, another Bay Area product. Made himself at home today in L.A. Jimmy Rollins knows how to make an entrance, as he rose to the occasion, had a great at bat in the 8th inning of a tie game and hit a 3-run homer to break the tie. The Dodgers beat San Diego 6-3. Jimmy Rollins, who's had a great career and a lot of great moments. That one has to be up there high on the list, though.
Well, you're coming to a new city and you want to make a splash. That's not a bad way to make new friends.
Todd Frazier also hit a 3-run 8th inning homer to break a tie in Cincinnati in the Reds' traditional home opener to beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 5-2. The changeup high and away. 2-1 to Brandon Crawford. And the Mets spoiled Max Scherzer's debut in Washington, the new ace of the Nationals.
Hey, Scherzer had a perfect game through 5 innings. He was just mowing them down, and all of a sudden, whoop.
Two and one the count to Crawford.
I mean, Scherzer still threw the ball beautifully. It's tough to even conceive the way he was throwing the ball. He was going to wind up taking a loss, which was the case in his Nationals debut.
2-1 the count. And now 2-2.
A lot of unique stories around baseball. Colorado opened up today in Milwaukee and beat the Brewers 10-0.
That Colorado team, and nobody's picked them to do anything, none of the experts around the country, but then you take a look at their lineup. That's a great lineup. Of course, the trick for them is trying to keep all those guys healthy. They were not able to do it again last year. That's through, base hit. Ahmed with the dive, came up short. McGee over to second. And the Giants have 2 men on with 1 man out on the base hit by Brandon Crawford.
If you think about what Brandon Crawford did last year, I mean, he had a fantastic year. And one of the strengths was his ability to go to left field against left-handed pitching. And this year, I think you're going to see him make a real strong effort to use that side of the field more against right-handed pitching. Crawford last year, double-digit figures in doubles, triples, home runs. I mean, he really had a good season production-wise. 69 RBIs, but I think his growth as a hitter is going to be to that side of the field against right-handers, and that was a good example of it.
The Giants with an opportunity here, 2 men on, and Gregor Blanco, who popped up to third his first time, comes up. Although Blanco has never done well against Cole Mentor. Called a strike on the outside. He's 2 for 18 lifetime against Cole Mentor. 2 hits and 18 at bats. Although, as you often say, Mike, that means that he's due.
He's due, baby. I mean, this is not normally a bunt situation, but with Bumgarner, the last year's Silver Slugger Award on deck, you might see him try it. Not anymore. But if you're 2 for 18 against a guy, it at least has to cross your mind, even if you're an 8-hitter hitting in front of a pitcher. But Bumgarner is not your ordinary hitting pitcher. He can hit.
Giants have 7 hits against Cole Mentor through 3 1/3 innings, but only the 1 run. 0-2 the count. And keeping it in front is Gozowish. So the runners have to hold. McGee at second, Crawford at first.
You look at one of the best blockers in the National League West, Gozowish. Local kid. The high school here in Phoenix, went to Arizona State. But he can block.
Belt led off the inning with a strikeout, but then McGee singled to left and Crawford singled to left. 2 men on, 1 man out in a tie game here in the 4th. And Colementor and Gozuish, they're having a hard time getting together on what pitch to next throw here. Now Blanco back in the box. And here we go. And the fastball is too low. 2-2 the count. Gregor Blanco, who's got 2 World Series rings now, or he will have number 2. He's earned it. And he played a big role in both of those down the stretch because of injury, or in 2012 a suspension to Melky Cabrera. The changeup, and he chased a pitch, just totally fooled that ball well out of the strike zone in the final analysis.
Well, it's the changeup, and it's the pitch that makes you talk to yourself, and you realize you're off balance. You just expected more speed than what you get. You're so totally convinced because of the arm action, because of the spin. It's identical to that of the fastball, and you just don't get the same velocity. Makes you reach, and it can make you look bad.
Colementor, who finished last year as the D-backs just were having a hard time beating anybody down the stretch on their way to the worst record in the majors, he finished up very strongly. Ball 1 with a curveball up out of the strike zone. Colementor had a 1.26 ERA in his last 7 starts last year. Only Jake Peavy of the Giants and Francisco Liriano of the Pirates did better than that in that period of time. 2 on, 2 out. And he eases that changeup through there at the knees. 1-1.
You know, Bumgarner's not up there looking for a changeup.
What is he looking for?
He's looking for that BP fastball at the belt.
Bumgarner grounded out on a check swing his first time. 1-2.
Changeup. I don't think he's going to see anything else. If he throws a fastball here, it would be above the strike zone, above the hands. But everybody knows the reputation of Bumgarner on the fastball.
Ooh.
And there was that high fastball, and he just missed it.
A mighty cut.
With a location outside corner, and here this thing goes right across the middle of the plate, just below the letters. Oh, he just missed it. And you can see he wasn't fooled. I mean, he had great balance in that swing.
So if you're Colementor and you just saw that, what's his next pitch going to be?
His next 10 are changeups.
All right, so maybe Bumgarner's seen his last fastball this season from Colementor. 1 ball, 2 strikes. McGee at second, Crawford at first. 2 down. And he laid off. Change up down and away. 2-2.
And even with the ball outside down below the knees, it took out the lower body of Madison Bumgarner. And that's what that pitch is designed to do.
2-2 the count. The Giants won, the D-backs won here in the 4th. And Bumgarner managed to fight that one off, but kind of an awkward looking swing.
Well, and that's a cut fastball. I think they're trying to go front door cutter, just kind of freeze it and have that movement come back into the strike zone. But again, another location mistake. So he's had a couple of good pitches to hit.
Two and two the count. Crowd is so quiet here in Arizona. This big opening night crowd. And he lays off another changeup down and away.
This is a great at bat.
It's a full count now, so the runners will get that advantage. They'll take off on this pitch. McGee from second, Crawford from first. Aoki, the leadoff man, a left-handed hitter, on deck. There go the runners. Struck him out. He went right back down there with a changeup again. And he strikes out 3 in the inning. Still 1-1 as we go to the last of the 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention.
Over the next 6 decades, his voice could be heard calling Giants and A's games. Simmons was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 2004. At this time, the Arizona Diamondbacks and San Francisco Giants ask that you join us in a moment of silence. Thank you.
A moment of silence observed here in the desert with the passing of Lon Simmons, the great legendary voice of the Giants, who passed away yesterday at age 91. And Lon, who even after retiring as a broadcaster, still not only a baseball fan, but still a Giants fan who followed everything that the team did year after year. And there's a called strike from Bumgarner to Chris Owings as we start the last of the 4th inning. But I remember seeing Lon just before spring training last year, and you know, he'd been battling the cancer for quite a while. And there was a lot associated with that, and he was hoping that he could get through one more season, because he said that he was excited about what the Giants had done with the ball club, what Brian Sabean had built. And he thought this team had a good shot at winning another World Series, and he was hoping he just might be able to make it through one more season and see it through, as Bumgarner has struck out Owings, and there's one away. And with Lon's passing yesterday, it kind of brings you back to that Game 7 in October. Madison Bumgarner was at the center of the baseball universe, making baseball history, and winning that 7th game for the Giants and the World Series. And in a way, Lon Simmons, his last wish came true. He got to see it, and he got to enjoy it. And in a way, it's almost like that was a final tribute from the Giants to their great voice, Lon Simmons, who passed away yesterday.
Well, we talked about it at the start of the game. I mean, if you think about it, tomorrow morning we're going to wake up, pick the paper up. There's going to be a box score in there with the Giants in it. It'll be the first time since the Giants have come to San Francisco where they have a box score that Lon Simmons will not read. And that's when it hits home that he's gone.
Lon, who was the broadcaster when the Giants moved out from New York for the 1958 season, he was already working in San Francisco, already doing the 49er games. And Russ Hodges came out from New York. He was already firmly ensconced as the voice of the Giants, moved to the West Coast with the team. And the two became one of the great broadcast duos in any city at any time. Both Hall of Fame broadcasters honored in Cooperstown, and the best of friends. And Lon had such great affection for Russ. Long after Russ Hodges' passing, Lon still remembered fondly so many things about it. And Crawford recovered after juggling that one initially to throw out Gozuish, and that's out number 2.
It is a fast infield, and this is an infield that traditionally has given Brandon Crawford trouble early in the year, because you come out of spring training, you get used to a speed, or you come from San Francisco, you get used to a speed, and you come to this field and everything accelerates. It's faster. It's not as hard as we've seen it in the past, but it is fast, and that one exploded on him.
Two down, nobody on. Nick Ahmed, the hitter. And it's a called strike. Ahmed hit by a pitch his first time. Giants 1, D-backs 1 here in the 4th. And a pop-up foul. Back out of play. Strike 2. 0-2.
Get that ball nice on Ahmed. He set that target right there at the hands. That has always been a strength of Madison Bumgarner since he's got to the big leagues. That low three-quarter release and his ability to bury that little cut fastball that rides in on the hands of the right-handed hitters. And that last pitch was perfect, and it really sets up the back foot slider.
Well, the breaking ball in the dirt makes it 1-2.
And that's the intent of that pitch.
To get it in the dirt.
To get it in the dirt, out of the strike zone, down. I mean, really, when you think about it, that's a pretty good take there. Down the count 0-2. Bumgarner gets a lot of strikeouts on right-handed hitters with that pitch.
2 down, nobody on. And he tries to curve and misses way off the outside. 2-2.
Now, if there's been one little problem with the release of the pitches that Bumgarner has had tonight, has been with that curveball. It has not always been there with him. He's left a lot of them high and up on that left-handed side of the batter's box.
Coleman to the pitcher on deck as Ahmed backs away. Ahmed, who made this ball club in the spring, an excellent defensive player. One of a few changes the D-backs made. They only have 12 players on the roster right now who were here for opening day last year. Well, from 0-2, now the count is 3-2.
This ought to be a pretty good pitch to hit. When he gets into these situations, especially down the lineup, he usually goes to the fastball with that little cut on it. But I think as an 8 hitter, this is where you can get a little greedy. You don't need to get to shorten up your stroke. You should be thinking bigger things than that right here.
Foul ball, still 3-2. Even if you're Nick Ahmed,
why not? You get the pitcher on deck. You got to get it in situation. You know that Bumgarner is not going to get too tricky here. He's going to put one in the middle of the strike zone.
Well, he did hit a home run last year against the Pirates on July 31st in the big leagues. His only major league homer. Ooh. Bumgarner thought maybe he had that one in there. Ball 4.
Don't give any high strikes with Gary Cederstrom. Remember, he doesn't give a lot outside the knees, and once you see the reach from Buster Posey and he catches it outside his right shin guard, you're not going to get that pitch with Cederstrom. He's a guy you have to stay between the knees to get a called strike on a corner.
Nick Ahmed is aboard, and here is Colementor, who hit into a force play his first time. There's Joe Panic to Crawford, and Ahmed is forced out. One pitch later, the inning is over. Top of the order. Aoki, Panic, Pagan coming up. It's 1-1.
area is brought to you by Lenardi's Markets. For a location near you, visit Lenardi's.com or find us on Facebook. Lenardi's, quite simply the best.
Chase Field in Arizona, the Giants opening night 2015, and they are in a 1-1 tie with the homestanding Arizona Diamondbacks. And we'll have the top of their batting order coming up here. Aoki, Panik, and Pagan. Buster Posey due up fourth in the inning. Aoki has hit the ball hard twice. A line drive caught by the left fielder in the first inning, and then a hard hit base hit just out of the reach of the diving second baseman into center field in the third. But he also had a little base running mishap there in the third inning that may have cost the Giants big time. They ended up getting a run anyway, but just the one. And that's ball one from Colementor. He was at first base, and the Joe Panik hit the double into right center. And Aoki got caught going too far around third base, and he got him in a rundown, and he was tagged out. And instead of second and third and one out with Pagan coming up, they had a runner at third and two down, and then Pagan singled home Panik, and that's how the Giants got their run. That was in the third.
Yep, she's got herself a souvenir. That's my dad.
Base hit along the right field line. Well, he hit that floater. That didn't seem to fool him terribly. So 2 hits for Aoki.
I think one of the hardest type of hitters to fool, if you're an off-speed pitcher like Colementor, and his two best weapons are that cut fastball and the changeup. He's throwing a lot of off-speed stuff. Is a hitter like Aoki who has a great opposite field approach. I mean, he thinks left field all the time against lefties and righties. And he stayed back well, kept his hands back, and beats him on a pretty good off-speed pitch.
So Aoki is aboard, and here's Panik. Panik has a single and a double. He's 2 for 2. Aoki is back. Aoki in his first 3 major league seasons with 67 stolen bases, although he had 30 of them the first year he was in Milwaukee, 20 the next year, and then last year with Kansas City it was down to 17. That's a called strike. Joe Panik began his major league career in this ballpark last year when the Giants brought him up from AAA. And I remember the Giants saw things from him in that very first series with the bat where they said, wow, this guy makes adjustments. This guy's got a little pop in his bat as well.
And he stayed in the strike zone. That really stood out. Didn't chase a lot of stuff in the dirt or above the strike zone.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And as you watch him, I mean, at one point in spring training, he was 8 for 52. He'd only struck out 4 times, but he was swinging outside the strike zone. And as he got his strike zone honed in and became more selective, all of a sudden the hits came. And he's carried that good swing he had the last week of spring right into the season. As you mentioned, a 2-hit night tonight so far.
And that's pretty much the way you'd like to see it happen. From spring training leading into the regular season. The Giants did win after really having a miserable spring all the way around. They did win 7 of their last 9 games in the exhibition schedule, leading into the games that count. Aoki safely back again. Bill Hayes is the Giants first base coach this year, with Roberto Kelly moving from first base over to third base and the retirement of Tim Flannery. Ball 2 as he refuses, as you mentioned, to go out of the strike zone with Pagan on deck.
Well, when you think about it, how many Giants hitters tonight have swung at pitches out of the strike zone against Coleman? I mean, that's where he wants you to go. He wants you to give the illusion you're going to get something. By the time you commit to it, it drops down below the zone, and you're fooled. That's a game face.
Bumgarner in a 1-1 tie with Colementor. Giants batting here in the 5th. Giants have 8 hits in this game, but just the 1 run. And a pop foul back out of play.
If you're wondering what a pitcher thinks about between innings as you see Bumgarner sitting in the Giants dugout, he's thinking about the top of the lineup that is going to face him in the top of the 5th. Pollock, Inciarte, and Goldschmidt. And in his mind, he's pitching to each one of those hitters, as he'll continue to do all through the game. stay in that bubble of concentration, and they don't want to leave it.
The bloop along the left field line, in there, base hit. Aoki around second. He'll hold there as Inciarte tracks it down right along the foul line. And Joe Panic is 3 for 3.
Dusty Baker used to always say that when you're getting jammed, you're in a good position at the plate.
Center fielder, Angel.
And this really is an example of this. I mean, that ball cuts in on his hands, but because he has such a good foundation and he's got the strike zone square, a good flat swing, and he'll fillet the little flares to left field, and he'll do that when he's hitting good. Not a bad pitch from Coleman. He got the jam that he was looking for. But Panic has got a good hack going right now, fights it off and wins.
And now that sets it up for a guy who's had a lot of success. The Giants only have had a couple of guys coming in who have had some success in the past against Coleman, and that's Pagan and Posey, and they're the next two hitters here. Pagan has a double and a single tonight, and that's another liner into right center field, a base hit, and he'll get another RBI. He's going to head for second and make it in with a double. He got the second before Aoki came across the plate with the go-ahead run. It is 2-1 Giants, and Pagan is also 3 for 3.
Boy, you think about the top three guys that the Giants lineup tonight. 8 hits between them. 2 for Aoki, 3 for Panic, and 3 for Pagan. Just finds a gap, stays hot. And this time with nobody out, Buster Posey coming up. Giants not taking a risk here. So they hold everybody up, and that's going to bring out Mike Harkey, the third base, or the pitching coach rather, for the D-backs. Going to kind of slow him down. So the meeting with Harkey over, and they have a little bit of action down in the Diamondbacks bullpen. We just had a surprise visit from one of the new Hall of Famers.
Well, that was cool. He threw out the first ball tonight, and of course he did a lot of things here in Arizona. He helped them win a World Series, and he was just a Giant at the tail end of his career. He did win his 300th career game as a Giant, though. Randy Johnson stopped by, so that was very nice of him. Always great to see him. He still looks like he could actually pitch.
Well, he threw out the first pitch, and they had him at 91 on the gun.
Buster Posey, first base is open. He's had a history of success against Coleman. Hits that one well. Tagging at third is Joe Panic, and he'll come in to score. Buster Posey gets the RBI, and it is 3-1 Giants.
Let's take a look at the first pitch tonight. As Randy Johnson announced, he is the pride of the Diamondbacks. Won 4 Cy Young Awards in a row here in Arizona. And he just effortlessly flipped up a bullet that Josh Coleman wished he could throw right now. And it really was our pleasure to get to know him when he wore a Giants uniform.
Here's Brandon Belt. Pagan still at second. Only 1 out of the inning. 2 runs in. Strike 1. Belt has driven one deep to center and has struck out. He's 0 for 2. A base hit can mean a run. They've got the shift on against him. And it's 0-2.
Belt just not able to keep that backside anchor down in defense of these off-speed pitches. You know, if you think about it in regards to Randy Johnson, if there was ever a slam dunk lock for a guy to be a first-timer and get voted into Cooperstown at his first chance, it would be him.
300-game winner, one of the greatest strikeout pitchers of all time. A World Series MVP, all those Cy Young awards. There's very little that he did not do.
But he said he was just floating on air because of the of the accolade that has come his way, and he'll be enshrined in July.
Randy Johnson. And although he was a Giant for a short time, he was a great Giant. And there were some young pitchers that I think he had a chance to provide little wisdom and knowledge for. While he was there, Jonathan Sanchez, also a left-hander, who, like Johnson, he threw pretty hard. He got a lot of strikeouts, but he also had a tendency to be very wild. And while they were teammates, Jonathan Sanchez had one of his best stretches as a Giant, including a no-hitter back in 2009. 1-2 the count to Belt. Hit hard but foul right past Bill Hayes.
All right, right now it's time for our AT&T U-verse rewind. And Brandon Belt last year in the opening series in Arizona was 6 for 18 with 3 home runs and 5 RBIs. And he has always loved to hit in this ballpark. And he did it every day. All 3 games he left Earth. And that's our AT&T U-verse rewind.
But now facing a guy who has tormented him, Josh Colmenter. He's only 2 for 15 lifetime against Colmenter. Pagan at second. Colmenter checks him. And Belt fights off that fastball. 1-2.
Well, that's the one you get so angry at yourself that you don't do more with. You really had a hard time staying on your back leg with the off-speed step. You do get a fastball in a 2-strike situation, and it's out over the plate, and you foul it off. You're thinking, that was my chance.
D-backs have a left-hander up in their bullpen, as Colmenter is battling it here in the 5th. 2 runs in, 1 out. The shortstop, Ahmed, is playing right behind Pagan, the runner at second. This is the second baseman, Owings, to Colmenter covering as Pagan goes to third. 2 down. Andrew Chafin is the left-hander warming up in the Arizona bullpen as Casey McGee comes up. And after McGee, you've got a couple of lefties, Crawford and Blanco. Colmenter has been a busy man the last couple of innings. He had a 28-pitch marathon in the 4th inning, and he got through it. The Giants did not score, but it may have taken a toll on him. Mike, what do you think? They jumped on him here in the 5th.
I think that's the one thing that pitching coaches fear the most early in the year is long innings, because you're just not strong enough to recover from. And 28 pitches in an inning is a lot.
Big cut there by McGee, but a foul back out of play. Casey McGee used to be a guy who hit home runs when he first came up with the Milwaukee Brewers, but he said he really kind of got stuck on trying to hit home runs when, after a couple of good home run years, the home runs were not there, and it kind of took him out of his game, and that was what really ailed him. He went to Japan and he kind of changed his approach a little bit in Japan. He had 28 home runs the year he was with the Rakuten Eagles over there. Got back to the big leagues last year. But when he saw the size of that ballpark in Miami, he said he decided best to think more middle of the field. And he ended up driving in a lot of runs out of the cleanup spot, a lot of them, but only 4 home runs for the year. That's the low strike, and it's 1-2. McGee has grounded out to second and singled to left in this game. The base hit here could mean a run. Pagan at third, 2 down, 2 runs in. The Giants ahead 3-1. In on the hands and a pop foul that will reach back and out of play.
This may be the last hitter that Colmenter faces no matter what. Got the left-hander Chafin in the bullpen. You've got Brandon Crawford, the left-handed hitter, on deck. And the pitch count at 86 early in the year is just about his last guy.
Well, this will be his 50th pitch in just the last 2 innings. This will be the 22nd pitch of this inning after his 28 pitch 4th inning. 1-2 the count.
Ooh. But look, Gary Cederstrom is a guy you've got to stay between the knees. If you get outside it just a little bit and you see a catcher reach across, you just don't often get it. And I think that was called correctly. I think it was off the plate away by at least a half inch.
Way outside. 2-2. Going inside now. But too low with a fastball. Full count, 3-2. 3-1 Giants. There's Crawford on deck, hoping to get a shot at it here in the 5th inning. The Arizona infield playing McGee to pull. The first baseman, Goldschmidt's way off the line. 3-2. And he walks him. Threw him another changeup. Missed well off the outside. And let's see if Chip Hale makes the move. With runners at first and third. A lefty up in the bullpen and a lefty coming up. There's Chafin out in the bullpen. And here comes the new manager of the D-backs, Chip Hale. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your oil change, tune-up, and brake experts. 2 on, 2 out. We'll be right back.
The San Francisco Giants. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of San Francisco Baseball Associates, LLC.
John Miller with Mike Krukow. Dwayne Kuiper is over on the radio side for now. And we're in the 5th inning here at Chase Field. The Giants' opening night of the 2015 season is Arizona's home opener. Giants' opening day at AT&T Park will be a week from today in the afternoon in the sunshine. And right now the Giants with a chance to extend their lead. And Andrew Chafin, Andy Chafin they call him, is on to pitch. And Mike, he's the only lefty in that bullpen, and he's coming on here to try to hold the line with a left-handed hitter up.
Well, he's got a good fastball. You'll see a low to mid-90s fastball, hard slider, and a changeup.
It was a pretty good save there by Gozowicz on a ball in the dirt outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Josh Colmetter does not survive the 5th inning in his opening night. Now the pitch, and that misses low for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. Another lefty, Gregor Blanco, is on deck. By the way, there is another lefty in the bullpen. That's the veteran Oliver Perez. So I misspoke on that one. Pagan at third, McGee at first. And it's too low, 3-0.
Well, you can imagine a few opening night jitters for Chafin. You know, he's only got 20 days of big league experience. Got called up at the end of last season. And they've always liked this guy. He started off as a starter, and through most of his career he's been a starter. In fact, his 3 appearances last year in September were starts. But this year they feel that he's more valuable coming out of the bullpen. But right now he's got to find the strike zone.
3-1 the count. And remember last year, the Giants shortstop Crawford hit better against left-handed pitching than against the righties. That's going to go back out of play.
92-mile-an-hour challenge, and you knew that Crawford was sitting on it, and he just missed it.
Crawford has a hit tonight, a single back in the 4th inning. And he also has grounded out to first. 1 for 2 in the game. Crawford was an excellent RBI man for the Giants last year also. 69 runs batted in, hitting 7th or 8th most of the season. With the runner from first, McGee going, a foul to the screen.
He fouled a pretty good pitch right there. That was 92 with cut on the outside corner, about just a bit above the knees. And he just scraped the top of the bat head on that ball. Live to see another pitch.
There goes McGee. And high and foul off the left field line, well back out of play. 3-2 the count remains. Pagan at third. McGee goes back to first. There's the view from the first base side. The panoramic view of the ballpark. And again, McGee takes off. Raked into right field, a base hit. Pagan is in to score, and the ball is misplayed by Trumbo. And here comes McGee. He'll also score, and Crawford is still going and is standing at third. 5-1 Giants, and Brandon Crawford, as he did so many times last year, delivers against left-handed pitching.
We're going to make it our Togo's big play the Togo's way, and why not? You're so accustomed to seeing him beating lefties to left field. Here he gets a lazy breaking ball. It just flutters out there in the strike zone, and he yanks it to right field. Now watch the misplay from Trumbo as the ball gets under his glove. Just under the glove, and as soon as Roberto Kelly saw that, wasted no time in waving the back runner, Casey McGee, all the way in from first base.
So those 2 runs are charged to the record of Josh Colmenter. And now Blanco, a bloop along the left field line, foul. Ahmed, the shortstop, gave chase. By the way, they're going to give Brandon Crawford credit for a double and 2 runs batted in, with an error charge to Trumbo for allowing him to go to third. The bunt popped up, and Gozuish has it, and that's the inning. But the Giants come up big, a 4-run 5th. Bumgarner back to the mound with a 5-1 lead.
Welcome back to the game. I'm Amy Gutierrez. And for Justin Maxwell and Casey McGee, they've gone through the excitement of a few opening days in their career. But today marks the first day they've done an opening day as a San Francisco Giant. And they both told me that today's opening day just a little bit more special for each of them because they just happen to grow up huge Giants fans. John, you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Casey Raines from Santa Cruz, a Bay Area native. He grew up loving the Giants. But for Justin Maxwell, he grew up in Maryland. So why did he love the Giants? Because his dad was a huge Willie Mays fan. Gentlemen?
Yeah, Willie Mays was his favorite. And because of Willie Mays, his dad was a Giants fan. And so Maxwell grew up figuring it was natural to root for the Giants. Well, here's Bumgarner, and suddenly he's got a 4-run lead with which to work. The leadoff man, Pollock, as they start the inning at the top of the order, and it's strike one to Pollock, who has fouled out to the catcher and grounded out to the third baseman. He's 0 for 2. Bumgarner's allowed 3 hits in this game. And the foul ball, strike 2.
Well, the beauty of a 4-run lead for a guy who has good command like Bumgarner is that you should attack that strike zone, especially on that first pitch. And it really allows you the ability to get on top of the hitter quickly with strike one. Hey, if you challenge a guy in the strike zone first pitch, he hits out of the ballpark, you got a 3-run lead. You haven't thrown a lot of pitches, not a problem. But be aggressive. Get strike one.
1-2 the count. That's a base hit. Belt was playing way off the line, and Pollock crossed him up. First hit for A.J. Pollock.
Well, the Dodgers make their first visit to San Francisco, close out the first homestand, April 21st and 23rd. And Tuesday, April 21st and Wednesday the 22nd are both 7:15 starts. The final game of the series, Thursday, April 23rd, is day baseball in the city with a 12:45 start. Get your tickets at sfgiants.com/tickets.
Giants do not have a day off on this schedule. And this is kind of unusual the first couple of weeks of the season. Usually there's day off. There's days off everywhere. And people get a little upset that there are too many days off when they don't really need them. And there's a called strike to Inciarte, who's been hit by a pitch and singled to center field. So he's been on base twice. 0-1 the count to Inciarte. But the Giants play 14 straight days.
Yeah, and that's unusual. But that's why the Giants have 13 pitchers.
Their first day off 2 weeks from today. Crawford. There's one. Panic. A double play. And that's a nice pickup by Crawford. And I don't know if he was sure himself he was going to be able to do it.
Well, there is some unpredictability to this infield. And this ball was absolutely roasted. You get a top spin, one hop bullet right at you, and it's going to come on you. And you don't know how high. You just rely on your hands. And you see the reaction from Madison Bumgarner, going to celebrate with a snot rocket. But that was definitely a nice pick by Crawford.
Here's Goldschmidt now with nobody on, which is the way you want to face Goldschmidt, especially with a lead. You don't want Goldschmidt launching him right back into the game with one swing of the bat.
I mean, that was a big play from Crawford to come up with that pick. He didn't make that play. You got this guy up with 2 on and nobody out.
Goldschmidt has struck out and flied out to right. He has tormented the Giants since coming into the league. He's become one of the top slugging first basemen in the game. 2-0 the count. Of course, the guy that he has tormented more than any other is Tim Lincecum. And I think nobody was surprised when Lincecum was not going to be starting one of these 3 games here.
Well, this guy had everything to do with that. but you look at the way the Giants defend him, and there's not much of a shift, if any. I mean, slight shift with Belt at first base. He plays off the line, but in the outfield, I mean, you have to put this guy straight away. He truly has foul line to foul line power.
Now it's 3-1.
just gives you an idea of the type of balance that he has. And when he went down last year for the Diamondbacks, it was over for him. I mean, he means that much to their offense.
Ooh. 3-2. Well, he was having another banner year. He only played 109 games last year, hit 300, and he had 39 doubles in 2/3 of the season. He was on pace for nearly 60 doubles, plus his usual 30 home runs. And that's the inning. And Bumgarner has gotten him 3 straight times. 5-1 Giants as we head to the 6th. Bumgarner coming up.
Silicon Valley's premier 24/7 entertainment destination.
All right, time now for our Cold Hard Facts. It's brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Since 2000, franchises with 3 titles in a 5-year span. Well, the Giants have 3. The Lakers have 3. The San Antonio Spurs have 3. And the New England Patriots, well, they also have 3. And those are our Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Madison Bumgarner, a high pop foul back out of play. 49,043 is the paid crowd.
It's a big ballpark. They see about 8,000 more than the Giants can back at AT&T.
A ball and a strike. It's the 8th largest official paid attendance for a game in regular season history here at Chase Field. And I dare say a lot of Giants fans amongst them. Back out of play, still 0-2 to Bumgarner, who has grounded out to first on a check swing and is also struck out. And they had the D-backs legends had a race.
Well, you saw Mark Grace, Matt Williams, and Luis Gonzalez, and there was the winner in tonight's race, Randy Johnson.
That's all for Bumgarner. Chafin gets his first strikeout.
But when you're the guy that throws out the first pitch, I was betting Randy Johnson on the race, I got to tell
you. Now here is Aoki, who was lined out to left and hit 2 singles. Aoki in his Giants debut. And he has had a hit to start the 2 Giants scoring innings, which is, that's the job if you're the leadoff guy. Get things started. He's had 2 hits. Panic hitting behind him's had 3 hits. And the third place hitter, Pagan's had 3 hits. The top 3 hitters in the Giants lineup have 8 hits and 9 at-bats amongst them. That's a strike.
Press a breaking ball on a 1-0 count from Chafin.
Now Aoki facing a lefty for the first time tonight. Last year, as a member of the Kansas City Royals, he hit .363 against lefties. Along the left field line, Inciarte into foul ground. Not this time for Aoki, and he is now 2 for 4. Fouling out to left, 2 down.
Second baseman, Joe Pettit.
The Giants, Bruce Bochy saying before the game that Jake Peavy had been scheduled to pitch tomorrow, but it's going to be Ryan Vogelsong instead. Peavy, according to Bruce Bochy, has back issues, and Bochy's hoping that Peavy will take treatment and whatnot for a few days, and that he should be able to start, he's hoping, Sunday in San Diego. But Vogelsong had pitched real well the last couple of starts down in the desert, spring training. He'll get the call tomorrow. That's inside. The other question is about Matt Cain, who is due up here on Wednesday. Cain has had some problems in his elbow. He felt it the other night in his start against Oakland at AT&T Park, and he went in for an MRI today. Now, when I spoke to Bochy before the game, they were still awaiting the results of that MRI to determine what to do with Matt Cain. And so there's a possibility that Matt Cain will not be able to go on Wednesday either. This is Goldschmidt, and he beats Panic to the bag, and that's the first time Panic has been retired in this game. He's 3 for 4 now. Bumgarner back to work. Trumbo coming up. 5-1 Giants.
Bay Area is brought to you by Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com and by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
Well, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years, and you can watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Go to MLB.TV and check out the details.
Madison Bumgarner with a 5-1 lead to face the Arizona cleanup hitter as we start the last half of the 6th inning. Well, the clock is within 20 seconds, and when it's within 20 seconds, the umpire's supposed to tell these guys, go ahead. There's that clock out there. But it was inside 20 seconds, and plate umpire Gary Cederstrom was still standing away from home plate. I don't know what he was waiting for. We had the former Giant, John D'Acquisto, who's working for the commissioner's office, was here explaining how that clock will work and what the different times on the clock will mean. But once it gets down to 20 seconds, left before the start of the next inning, he's supposed to signal the pitcher and the batter, go ahead. And they're supposed to get in the box anywhere from 20 seconds until 5 seconds. But if they wait until the whole thing is elapsed, that's too late. That's a violation.
And that's a fine. But because it is a new rule about the first month of the season, it's going to be the education. After that, they're going to indeed start fining. There's the pace of game. Countdown from 2:25. Now tonight we're at 2:45 break because it is a national game. PA announces the batter at 40 seconds. Final warm-up pitch at 30 seconds left. Walk-up music ends, and then as the batter enters the box, you've got 20 seconds that you can throw that pitch. You don't have to wait for the clock to go down. I think a lot of guys are making that mistake. They're thinking that they can't go until the clock's wound down. But that's something they're all going to have to relearn.
Well, it looked to me like the plate umpire thought they had to wait.
They did.
But John D'Acquisto said at 20 seconds, from any time when it hits 20 seconds on down, the pitcher's free to throw the pitch and the batter get in the box and we can start. That's a foul. And the thing that was confusing to me was it used to be they said they were going to give 2 minutes and 5-second breaks. The second base umpire ran a watch. And we had commercial breaks and whatnot to try to fit into that time. But they said that a lot of times the breaks were going much longer than that. Sometimes as long as 3.5 minutes between innings. It's Mark Trumbo. High fly ball into medium left center. Fairly shallow left center for him. And Aoki takes it. Trumbo is 1 for 3. He has knocked in the only Arizona run tonight. That was back in the third with a triple off the center field wall. So one down here is Aaron Hill. 5-1. The Giants leading in the 6th inning. But so they actually made the breaks in effect 20 seconds longer in an effort to make them shorter. I was having a hard time getting my mind around that at first,
but they want you in that box and ready to go when that 2:25 is up. That'll be the regular season games, and there will be exceptions when you are in a national game.
And there should be a pitch thrown before that 2:25 is totally elapsed.
Right, and all you're waiting for is that pitcher within those last 20 seconds to make contact, eye contact with that hitter. And once they both engage, okay, here we go. And you make your pitch.
Off the glove of McGee. That ball was hit very hard by Aaron Hill, his first hit of the game.
Casey McGee does a nice job of just getting a glove on this thing. This ball was raked to his backhand. It comes up high, bounces to a high backhand. It's a tough play. If this ball gets by him without that glove getting on it at all, that's a double.
But this is one of the fastest infields in the league. So here is Chris Owings, who has flied out to shallow center. Pagan made a beautiful sliding catch his first time. This could be 2. McGee to panic to belt. Inning over. Dwayne Kuiper will be returning from the radio side to take it the rest of the way. The Giants 5, Arizona 1 with Pagan and Posey coming up.
Your local Toyota dealer. Through 6 foldings of play, Giants 5 runs, 11 hits, no errors. The Diamondbacks 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error. The top of the lineup, the first 3 hitters, 8 for 11. Madison Bumgarner has been stellar through 6, 5 hits allowed on just 79 pitches. And there you see Aoki, Panic, and Pagan have really been the story, as they have been great table setters tonight. That is our Toyota game summary. 5-1 Giants. We're at the top of the 7th inning, and once again, here's Dwayne Kuiper.
All right, thanks, Mickey. So here's Pagan to lead things off.
So are you getting lonely over there?
You know what, Mike? I 2 things happened over there that never happened to me before on the radio side. Here's Pagan. In the middle of an inning, here's a called strike. I turn to my right, and the tallest human being I've ever seen is standing next to me.
Oh, that would be Hall of Famer Randy Johnson.
And he wants to talk. So here's Pagan, and Pagan takes another strike. And then he shook my hand, and he took 2 fingers with him.
Well,
and I was
excited.
like, yo, Randy, can I have those 2 back?
I need them.
But he was happy. Very happy.
Well, when you get elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame, you should be happy. He'll be inducted in July.
So Pagan is out.
Well, join us tomorrow night. Giants taking on these very same Diamondbacks. Game 2 of this 3-game set. Be a 6:30 game. Pregame live starts at 6 p.m. You can check us out on Comcast Sportsnet Plus. And the next Giants game on Comcast Sportsnet Plus. Check us out if you would. It's going to be Ryan Vogelsong on the hill for the Giants. His opponent will be Ruby De La Rosa.
Sharply on the ground, Buster Posey hits this to Ahmed. So that was one distraction. The other, the commish comes in.
The new commish or the old commish?
The old, and he wants to talk.
Bud Selig, well, he's a fellow Wisconsinite, a fellow cheesehead, so he wants to talk to you.
He did.
Did you talk about frozen pudding?
No, I gave him the best 15 seconds I could give him. Here's Belt. Belt takes down low. It's hard to tell the former commissioner, look, I had to take a pee. Now I only have 15 seconds to get back on radio because I'm alone. But I think he got it. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, he looks great.
He does. He's happy.
Well, he should be. He was a great commissioner. He elevated baseball in his tenure as the commissioner of baseball.
You know what I told him? And I actually didn't tell him. I sent him a note. But it was really true. In our era, we were coached and taught not to like the commissioner. And that was a fact.
That was a fact.
Belt takes down low. And I don't think he ever was in a spot where the players didn't particularly like him. I think he was good for everybody. If you look at the salaries they're making now, I'd say he was pretty good for them.
Well, when he took over, baseball was $1 billion a year industry, and I think now they're over $6 billion a year industry. That's a lot of progress.
3-2 pitch coming up to Belt. And Belt has this one hit off his bat, trying to check his swing. 3-2.
But the thing I always liked about Bud Selig was you could tell he was a fan of this game.
Yeah, he was.
He loved its history. He loved it, the moment that baseball could give you. And you couldn't always say that about the previous commissioners that we've known since we've been at the big league level. But you really could with him.
Belt taps this one to Goldschmidt. And Chafin's going to have another nice inning. So bottom of the 7th is coming up, and it remains 5-1 Giants. everybody is warm at AT&T Park.
Well, Friday, April 17th is fireworks night presented by Hanwha. You can join us for an exclusive pregame VIP experience in Triples Alley as we celebrate 3 World Series titles in 5 years. It allows you to take your photo with the 3 World Series trophies, watch batting practice from the outfield warning track, you get complimentary food and beverage, and of course you get to enjoy the post-game fireworks show. For more information or to purchase tickets, go to sfgiants.com/tickets and click on the Triples Alley experience. Oh yeah, work it out.
Oh, she's got it going, man. Is she dancing with anybody, or is this solo?
No, she doesn't need a partner. She has earned the right.
Uh-oh. She's got it going. That's not the first time she's danced to that song.
No, it's not the first time she's done the twist.
Don't hurt yourself. Well, take a look at the postseason for Madison Bumgarner and the regular season for Madison Bumgarner.
Well, what jumps out in the postseason is 52 2/3 innings, and that's more innings than anybody has ever thrown in a postseason. The MVP of the NLCS, the MVP in the World Series. And he got a Buster hug just for those great efforts.
Buster look exhausted there?
Yeah.
Here's Tuffy switch. And he hits one high to left field. Is it in the park? It is. One pitch, one out.
Well, you just don't trust this ballpark because of the carry that we've seen to all fields over the years. It's just a great place to hit. And fly balls, you don't trust them. Some of our nation's finest. They were the pilots that did the flyover celebrating the pregame opening day ceremony.
Here's Nick Ahmed. Bumgarner right now just pounding the strike zone. The only walk he's issued was to this hitter, Ahmed, in the 4th inning. He's had the benefit of 2 double plays in this game. This is what Mike is talking about, the flyover.
That was spectacular. And the Diamondbacks did an amazing job of putting on the pregame celebration. And it is a celebration.
Wouldn't you like to take those 2 to San Diego?
Yeah, we'd be there in about
me and you will race
20 minutes. But you know, we get back to the opening day celebration. It's been argued that it should be a national holiday, and I do believe it should be.
Didn't it used to be a city holiday in Cincinnati?
I think it still is. No school at Cincinnati on opening day of baseball season.
Popped out to Pagan. Well, for the longest time, they had the first game. Here's Jordan Pacheco.
They had quite a game today. They beat Pittsburgh in their opener with a 3-run homer. Todd Frazier, the third baseman, breaking a 2-2 tie. Cincinnati would go on to win that ball game.
Here's Pacheco. Pacheco pinch hitting for Chafin, and he pops it straight back and out of play. If I remember right, Pacheco's got pretty good numbers against Bumgarner. Yep, there they are. Hey, if you get ownage on Bumgarner, you're doing something, especially in postseason. Cued off the end of the bat, foul. So Pacheco will have to go back and get a new one.
Did you ever break 2 bats in one at bat?
I'm sure I did.
I think we saw Benito Santiago go through 3 in one at bat.
He went through a dozen
in a game. He was a good Giant. I enjoyed his time as a San Francisco Giant.
Indeed, indeed. 0-2 to Jordan Pacheco here in the 7th. Out of play. This one headed towards the upper deck, but comes a little bit short.
Last time I heard about Benito Santiago, he was living in the Miami area, South Florida, and he was selling yachts.
Not surprised. In tight. And for Bumgarner, that was pitch number 87. Well, whatever he was going to do to finish out his life was not going to be boring, that's for sure.
No, it was going to be fun.
Pacheco asked for time. 11 hits for the Giants, 5 for the D-backs. Two and two.
Try the slider down at the back foot. Next pitch for Bumgarner is going to be number 90. And you wonder if Dave Urghetti is going to let him stretch it out and pitch another inning. If he were to get out of this one cleanly. There's Dave Urghetti in his 16th year as the pitching coach of the Giants.
3-2 to Jordan Pacheco.
Urghetti, 16 years. Mark Gardner, bullpen coach, in his 13th. And that's the two-headed pitching monster the Giants have.
And a base hit for Pacheco.
Ownage is ownage.
Yeah, indeed it is. And that'll bring up A.J. Pollock.
Center fielder, A.J. Pollock.
Dave McKay, first base coach. Been around baseball a long time. Good baseball man. I mean, you look at Dave McKay. He's 65 years old. He looks like he's 40.
So here's Pollock, who singled in the 5th. And he takes down low. Now we're starting to see some people move around in the Giants bullpen.
Sergio Romo getting up, starting to get greased.
Tap to Crawford. Crawford says thank you for the big hop, and that'll end the inning. We'll head to the 8th, or yeah, we'll head to the 8th. And Casey McGee is going to lead things off.
And tonight's attendance is 49,000.
A better California.
Giants with a 5-1 lead here in the 8th. When it's time for a change, thanks Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and brake experts.
New pitcher now for Arizona is Daniel Hudson, the former starter. You look at his numbers in 2014, and he really scuffled, had some injury problems, and just never really could get it going. He was in their rotation 2011, 2012. Hard sinker. You're talking mid-90s type sink with a hard slider and a changeup. Trying to get back on track with his career.
Facing Casey McGee. And McGee's got a flare to right. And that is a thing. All right, let's check in with Amy G. Amy?
All right, gentlemen, earlier in the broadcast, John Miller did mention the Giants have changed Matt Cain's pitching status on Wednesday to be determined. Bruce Bochy did address that. He said he might move Tim Lincecum up in the order or go with a minor leaguer. Asked about Yusmeiro Petit, Bruce Bochy said he is not an option right now as a starter. Gentlemen?
All right, so there you go. Amy G. breaking the news. Here's Crawford. Crawford had a big hit. He knocked in a pair of runs in the 5th. A 2-out hit, by the way.
Against the lefty that he pulled to right field. Really great at bat. 3-2 count.
One and 0 to Crawford. And that evens the count with a called strike.
Daniel Hudson out of Old Dominion University.
Foul back. Sonny Gray, by the way, had a no-hitter for the A's going into the 8th, and that was just broken up. Bob Feller. I see a graphic 1940 through an opening day no-hitter. The old right-hander. 1 and 2 to Crawford.
He threw hard.
Yes, he did.
Hard throwing country boy.
Crawford lifts one into center field, and coming in is Pollock, who got a good jump. 1 out. So here's Gregor Blanco.
Right fielder, Gregor Blanco.
Gregor tonight is 0 for 3.
We had a couple guys here on opening day flirt with no-hitters. Max Scherzer earlier today had a perfect game through 5.
How'd that turn out?
Not good. The Nationals were going to lose that ball game to the New York Mets 3-1. Scherzer took a loss in his first start.
Blanco pops it up. Hill puts it away. And Duffy's going to hit for Bumgarner. So you can fill in the line for Madison Bumgarner. There's our director of travel, now kind of jack of all trades, right? He's charged of the Giants clubhouse. That's Brett Alexander.
There with his family.
Yeah. Garrett to his right, Teresa, his wife, daughter Harley, and son-in-law Houston. He also hands out tickets too, by the way. So if you see where he's sitting, you get a pretty good idea that he knows the ticket guy pretty well.
Yeah, he's the man with the plan.
Yeah. Brett, not bad seats.
Well, one of the few times he's been able to get his family to a game, so why not? does a sensational job for the Giants.
Duffy takes a strike. Duffy had a terrific spring. Lopez, Machi.
Now, Diamondbacks going to start off the inning with Inciarte. He's a left-handed hitter. Then they've got two righties right behind him, Goldschmidt and Trumbo. So you might see Javier Lopez start it off and then go to Machi.
Outside. Ooh, pretty good velocity from Mr. Hudson.
96. Oh, he's got good stuff, and he's got big-time movement. These are important at bats too for a young hitter who had a good spring. You want to keep that good feel that you had in spring going in the regular season. Matt Duffy's first opening day as a big leaguer.
And how about this? He chops one over the head of Goldschmidt. That is the magic Wandu, folks.
Yeah, well, significant though. Because right now he's expecting these type of hits. Gives you an idea how hard it is out there in front of home plate. When you're a sinker baller like Daniel Hudson, you do not appreciate hard dirt in front of home plate because you're going to get high bounces and you're going to give up base hits.
Well, McGee started out the inning with a bloop. And then Duffy with the high chopper over Goldschmidt. Here's Nori Aoki. He's had a couple of hits, scored a run. Moving over is Inciarte. This should end the inning, and it does. We'll see who's coming in for the Giants as we go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-1 San Francisco.
Hey, D-backs fans, a wonderful sold-out crowd. Thank you.
Now for our Honda Player of the Game. It's brought to you by Honda. And we think that Madison Bumgarner is deserving of that award. A lot of candidates tonight, but for Bumgarner, his first start of the year, 7 strong innings, 6 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts, and really picks up right where he left off last postseason. So he is going to be our first Player of the Game, brought to you by Honda. Congratulations.
5-1 Giants. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and brake experts.
Javier Lopez, a new pitcher now for the Giants. You take a look at what he did in 2014 and really had an outstanding spring this year and broke out a brand new toy. Well, really it's kind of an old toy as he throws the first pitch outside to.
What, he put the old toy in a box and reopened the box.
Well, yeah, he brought out the changeup again. He used to throw that a lot, especially to right-handed hitters. Hadn't thrown it for a few years. But he broke it out through spring training, and I mean, he was striking guys out with it. So he's been going with it.
Well, this appeared to have hit Inciarte on the foot. So Goldschmidt on deck.
This may be the only hitter that Javier Lopez will face, with the right-hander Gene Machi heating up. Goldschmidt, Trumbo, both right-handed hitters on deck.
This is going to be a tough play for anybody to make as Inciarte taps it over Lopez. And that's it for Lopez. So Machi's coming in as Lopez gives up the hit to Inciarte. It's 5-1, and we'll be back. Post-game live highlights, reaction, and analysis, and it's all coming up right after the game. 5-1 Giants here in the 8th. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and brake experts.
Gene Machi, the new pitcher for the Giants. Machi, 6 feet tall, 255-pounder. This is what he did last year. Strong outing, or strong year rather. 71 games he appeared in for Bruce Bochy. He really was a workhorse. And look at the hits allowed, 66 in the third, 45 with 51 strikeouts and 18 walks. Machi gives you a low to mid-90s fastball, a little slider, and a forkball. And he had a good spring.
Goldschmidt is 1 for 10 against Machi lifetime. In tonight's game overall, he's 0 for 3. Knocked down by Buster Posey, who can't find it. And Inciarte is going to head on down to second.
So a quick meeting out to the mound for Posey just to go over the signs with the runner at second. There is no one set of signs that are used from a catcher to the pitching staff in general. Everybody has their own preference as to what they are comfortable with as regards to signs. Some are rather simple, like first sign or first sign after a 2 or last sign. Others a little more complicated with pump systems. Some signs are given by the pitcher to the catcher.
Two-0 pitch, not close. She didn't want to walk Goldschmidt. Free passes are not good late in the game.
Not with a 4-run lead for Steve Stone. I mean, he was a guy who was a pitcher, who was a Giant, who was a Cub, who was a White Sox, Baltimore Oriole, Cy Young Award winner, but he would call his own signs on the mound. His right hand, his throwing hand, he would have it in front of his leg. That would be one, like a fastball. To the side would be a breaking ball. Behind his leg would be a changeup. So every sign that the catcher would put down was nothing more than a deke. And for a catcher, you've got to be able to be comfortable with whatever that pitcher's comfortable with.
3-1. And he walked him.
And that's a mistake. And you can see a slight little shake of the head from Bruce Bochy. Jeremy Affeldt, Sergio Romo, they're throwing in the Giants bullpen now.
Trumbo 1 for 3. He tripled off of Bumgarner in the third. It is an offensive park, so you really have to be careful that things don't get away from you. Swing and a miss, and a little chopper into center field for a hit, and then a walk. You got to be careful.
All of a sudden, you face a guy who's got way above average power. Mark Trumbo can hit the ball as far as anybody in the game. And you know what he's thinking. He's not thinking doink base hit. He's thinking 3-run homer.
This will hang up for Blanco. And Aaron Hill's going to hit. Hill's got good numbers against Machi. 3 for 6 with a couple of doubles.
Would you have liked to hit in a ballpark like this for a full season because of the hardness and the quickness of the infield?
I'll answer it this way. No, because I would have had to play defense.
Well, yeah, as an old infielder, I can see how you would not be too fond of the fast infield.
I would rather sacrifice. There's a line drive into center field, a base hit. Pagan gets to it. They're going to hold the runner at third. I don't know why. And now the bases are loaded. And the hitter will be Chris Owings. And it'll be Machi not facing Owings. It'll be Sergio Romo. But the answer to your question, obviously, this if any hitter would want to hit here. So Machi departs. Romo's coming in. Bases are loaded with 1 out, and it's 5-1 Giants. Halftime with Murph and Mac on KNBR 680, the sports leader. 5-1 Giants. And here's Romo.
So Sergio Romo going to make his debut here in the 2015 season. This is what he did last year, 6-4 with a 3.72 ERA. For Romo, 23 saves, 59 strikeouts in 58 innings. Fastball he'll throw two different ways, a four-seam and a two-seam, changeup and a slider. And he had a great spring. His slider was lethal.
So Jake Lamb is going to pinch hit for Owens. Like mentioned earlier, this is the guy that's going to play third a lot. Pulls this one on the ground foul.
Well, he comes off the bench hacking.
He's swinging.
6th-round pick for the Diamondbacks in 2012 out of the University of Washington. Was a .321 hitter in the minor leagues. Had 2 years where he had double-digit home run totals in the minor leagues. Last year he had 15, had 13 at Visalia in 2013. So he's got some pop.
Deep and off the top of the wall. 3 runs are going to score, and the tying runs at second. So we got a game.
And they set up at the outside corner. Ball up just a little bit, not a whole lot of swing. You can see the type of pop he's got in his bat here. He takes on the deep part of the yard, and Angel Pagan just simply gets in place for the carom. And despite a nice play by Pagan to get it back in as quick as he could, an easy clear of the bags.
Yeah, they had to keep Lamb from getting to third. So here's Tuffy Gozowicz. Down the left field line and foul. And it's no balls and 1 strike.
Shaking the head from Romo. He knows he's leaving the ball up high. He got beat by Lamb up, and here he laid a little first pitch slider out there, and it hung up there around the belt. Vic Ahmed on deck.
Oh, and 2.
Right back in with his bread and butter slider. One thing Gozowicz will do is he will go to right field with breaking balls that are on the outside part of the plate.
Way outside, 1 and 2. As Mike mentioned, right-handed hitting Nick Ahmed is on deck. It's 1 and 2 to Tuffy Gozowicz, who's 1 for 3 in the game. Got him.
Beautiful. Just start that hard slider, a big roundhouse on the outside corner, and then let the movement fall off the plate. And Gozowicz could not do anything with it. So a huge strikeout.
So Pennington, Cliff Pennington is going to pinch hit.
Well, this is nice if you're Chip Hale, the skipper of the D-backs, to have a switch hitter in this scenario.
Pennington has only faced Romo 3 times. He's 1 for 3 lifetime.
Low and away, 1-0.
2-seam fastball to open her up.
Two balls and no strikes. David Peralta is in the on-deck circle. Tying run at second base. It's Jake Lamb. And a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike.
2-0 slider. Diamondbacks have 2 players left on their bench, Peralta and the backup catcher Gerald Laird. Laird, a right-handed hitter, Peralta, left-handed hitter.
Three and one.
Yeah, it is a bit gut-wrenching if you're Bruce Bochy looking for this last out here in the 8th inning. Trying to preserve that 1-run lead. He's got Jeremy Affeldt, the left-hander, down in the bullpen, and he's ready.
So 3 and 1 to Cliff Pennington. And the walk.
He was nibbling the whole time.
So here comes the skipper.
Number 6.
This will be the 4th pitcher that Bruce Bochy is going to use here in the 8th. So Affeldt's coming in. Romo will leave with runners at first and second.
You're going to get a report from ABG. That's right, she's here in Phoenix, and the Giants insider, Alex Pavlovich, will also give you some insights and also many more opening day highlights. That plus a look around the leagues and, well, a look around sports in general. All that more. Hyundai Sportsnet Central after postgame live.
5-4 Giants. Is David Peralta will stand in facing Affeldt.
They look at the type of year that Affeldt had last year in 62 games, 4-2 with a 2.28 ERA. Affeldt, a ground ball strikeout guy, and this is a fast infield.
Right off the bat, no balls and 1 strike.
Affeldt will give you a low 90s fastball, as we mentioned, with sink. He's got a big curveball and a forkball.
And that pitch is down low. A ball and a strike. High.
Cut a piece. Peralta says it hit his hand.
There you go.
And Gary Cedarstrom, the plate umpire, said no, it hit the bat. And now here comes Chip Hill. Diamondback skipper going to give his video replay people a chance to look at this play. And let's see. If it hit the bat, it had to have hit the knob.
Well, it may have hit his knuckles on the bat.
Well, I don't believe that's a swing. So if they rule, I don't see how they could reverse this.
It sounded like it hit something. So they're going to look at it.
So Bruce Bochy going to come out and get an explanation. Well, they're going to check and see if they thought it was a swing first. So no swing as determined by third base umpire Quinn Wolcott. I mean, if he swings and it hits his hand, it's a strike to make a difference.
This replay review is presented by Xfinity.
Playing it here at Chase Field on the big screen, I just don't see how you could see anything definitive that would overrule the play, overrule the call.
Well, it's an important call.
Well, it is. And if it hit the bat, it had to have just grazed the side of the knob, and if it hits his hand, it had to have just grazed a finger. Can't tell.
Well, it looks to me like it hit more hand than bat.
Well, he came off the bat quickly with the hand. It's not like he had to think to shake the hand. So Gary Cedarstrom, plate umpire on the right, Aaron Cooper on the left, waiting as they review it.
So they call it a strike. And it's 1-2.
Well, and every pitch in this sequence has been a fastball. He has yet to show him his split or his curveball.
Look, it may very well have hit Peralta. There's not enough to see.
Yeah, you couldn't tell.
His reaction was pretty quick, though. So it's 1-2. And it's rolled foul, so he gets another fastball. Three runs here in the 8th inning for the Diamondbacks. Got him, and there's the breaking ball, and that'll end the inning. He saved it. That's a 26-minute half inning. 4 pitchers. Giants still lead. Oliver Perez, the new pitcher, when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and brake experts.
So Oliver Perez starts his 2015 season off. Perez, 33 years old, a 10-year veteran from Culiacan, Mexico. I first saw him originally as a starting pitcher way back when he broke in with San Diego Padres, but throughout his career he's found a nice home in the bullpen. He'll give you 2 types of fastball, low to mid-90s with velocity and a hard slider, and he can also adjust his throwing angle, can lower it. Jake Lamb stays in the game. He's at third base.
Pennington's now at short, and Hill moves from third to second as Joe Panik stands in. And the first pitch off the glove of Gusewicz into the backstop. 1 ball and no strikes. So Panik with 3 hits tonight. He scored 2 runs. And Perez, a good fastball at the knees. One of those hits for Joe off of the lefty Chafin. Almost got him on the shoulder. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, that's where he drops down with that breaking ball, and he can throw it from sidearm position. A little lamped up on opening night, perhaps a bit of an overthrow, because that thing didn't do a whole lot.
And that evens the count with a curveball. 2-2.
Yeah, I like the call from Gusewicz. He knows that he's got to have that breaking ball for Perez. So after you throw one that's a little weird, come back, throw it again, make the adjustment, and he did nicely.
So really some weirdness out of Perez. 3-2.
He had the old El Tiante out there, kind of getting up on his back leg and twisting around. And he's got some funkiness to him.
Got him.
And then he quick pitches him on a 3-2 fastball.
Pagano's got 3 hits tonight. And this is what they look like. Double down the right field line. Ball into the gap. That not going to run. And this double not going to run.
Now, he said about 5 days ago that he was starting to feel good with his hands. He says that's when I know that I'm starting to get hot. And he certainly had those type of swings tonight. Especially his first at bat. It came in a 2-strike where he really stayed back and just used his hands. It's interesting to talk to switch hitters as to how they gauge their swing from both sides, because they have to work on 2 swings. And for Pagano, he says it's all about his hands.
Two and 0.
Some guys talk about their lower body, their foundation, get that foot down. But for Pagano, hands.
2 and 0. 3 and 0.
Perez won, and he thought he had a little roundhouse backdoor breaking ball to nibble a strike. Doubtful that Perez is going to face Buster Posey.
And Perez comes back with a strike. It's 3 and 1.
Brad Ziegler, the right-hander, heating up in the D-backs bullpen.
And the walk. So Chappelle comes out. Points down to the bullpen for Ziegler. Giants are leading 5-4.
It's new life, and you think about what can be for the year, and you know, you've been just waiting all offseason long to get back out there, and it's just an exciting time for everybody.
So Brandon Belt on opening day for him.
So a new pitcher now for the Diamondbacks will be Brad Ziegler. Take a look at what he did last year in 68 games, 5-3 with a 3.49 ERA. 54 strikeouts, though, in 67 innings is a lot for a guy who throws from his arm angle. He's a submarine guy with a sinker slider, basically a 2-pitch guy. But last year he came up with a bit of a changeup, and it became a great pitch, especially to lefties.
So Posey standing in, and a quick toss, and Pagan is back. Buster Posey against Ziegler. He's 3 for 13. But he does put the ball in play against Ziegler. Two and 0. The bullpen right now for the Diamondbacks is quiet.
There you see those numbers. One thing about a guy like Ziegler, I mean, you look for one spot and you look down. You look for knee highs because that's what you're going to get.
Swing and a miss. 2 balls and 1 strike. Belt on deck. 5-4 Giants here in the 9th. There's that double play ball. And this is going to end the inning. On to the bottom of the 9th we go. 5-4 Giants. Crowd here tonight. When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and brake experts.
So the Giants closer, Santiago Casilla, coming in. Take a look at what he did last year. 19 saves, 54 games, 45 strikeouts, and 58 in the third. For Casilla, 34 years old, 6 feet tall, 210-pounder. He's an 8-year veteran, and he is a reliever that'll give you 5 different looks with movement. 2 types of fastball and go low to mid-90s. He'll sink it, he'll cut it. He's got a curveball, a slider, and a changeup. Gamer babes are here. And she brought her glove.
So A.J. Pollock is going to lead things off. Pollock, Inciarte, Goldschmidt, top of the order here in the 9th against Santiago Casilla. And a first pitch strike right out of bed, and it's 0-1.
And that's always been a very important pitch for Casilla to get that first strike. It calms him down.
Oh, 2.
So fastball outside corner at the knees, bang, strike one at 94, backs it up with an 0-1 curveball. And Pollock very quickly in an 0-2 hole.
Panic says, I got this one, and he does. 1 out.
So 3 quality pitches, and he breaks a bat, gets a pop-up.
So here's Inciarte.
The one thing about the Diamondbacks putting 8 hitters up in the 8th inning is it assures the Diamondbacks that Paul Goldschmidt is going to hit this inning, and he's on deck. And when you play the Diamondbacks, you're always aware as to where he is.
Yes, you are aware. Outside to Inciarte, a couple of hits tonight. Belt, Casilla, 2 down. And here's Goldschmidt.
Well, the bad news is you have to face him. The good news is there's nobody on when he steps in that batter's box. But when you get him out, he will make you earn it.
He's had 2 hits and 8 at bats lifetime against Casilla. Casilla's walked him 3 times and he struck him out once. Low, 1-0. Trumbo to follow.
Just a wee bit low with a 1-0 breaking ball.
Pretty good breaking ball.
And, you know, Goldschmidt, because of his power and his ability to hit to all fields, you really just can't pitch him one way. You have to make good location pitches.
And he does. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
He took away count leverage with good location there in the 2-0. And this is not a ballpark like AT&T where you can just say, here, hit your best bolt to right field. Because in this ballpark,
that doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Swing.
Good curveball, and it evens the count. Now watch how out front Goldschmidt is. So fooled both ways on that breaking ball by speed and by break.
2-2 to Goldschmidt. And a full count.
Well, that was his one chance there to go out of the strike zone. And Goldschmidt wasn't biting.
And Goldschmidt asked for time. Might they throw him a breaking ball here?
Absolutely. He's had a good one.
3-2. And a foul back.
Oh.
And he was on it.
He was not fooled. Not 1 pound in his body was leaning. And here comes the breaking ball. And it's right in the heart. And folks, he just got away with a hanging banger. Whoa. Do not do that again.
3-2 to Goldschmidt. Got him, and that's the ball game. So the Giants on opening day win this one, but the D-backs made it interesting in the 8th inning.
Well, indeed they did, and just a nice clean 1-2-3 in the 9th. And the Giants, Casilla, he did get away with one. They had their chances.
So Bumgarner is going to get the win, and Colementor will take the loss, and the Giants win the opener. Final score here at Chase Field: Giants 5, D-backs 4. Stay tuned. Esurance Giants postgame live starts right now.